I'd like to call the Onslow County Board of Commissioners regular meeting for Monday, March 17th, 2025 to order at this time. And we'll start first with the invocation led by our county attorney, Mr. Brett DeSalms.
Yes, sir. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come before you and conduct the business of Onslow County. Bless our social workers who we honor here tonight for their dedication to our community. Lord, equip them with the professional and relational resources they need to continue making an impactful change as they work to build better lives. May your blessings be upon us as always. Amen. Now, with deep respect and reverence for the faiths, beliefs, and traditions of those gathered here, join me in a moment of silence. Thank you.
Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to recognize the elected officials with us tonight. We have Mayor Pete Parnian from Holly Ridge, Mr. Walter Zabecki, Town Council from Holly Ridge, Mr. Rick Grant, Alderman from North Topsail Beach, and I don't know if I see Amiga Jarman. There she is. I couldn't find her. Amiga Jarman, Register of Deeds here as well, and then Sheriff Chris Thomas with us tonight. Do we have any others that we missed this evening? Fantastic. We appreciate you being here and joining us this evening. Now I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, before we do an adoption of the amendment, I'd like to amend the agenda to remove item 5, section C, the faith and vision rezoning, since the requester has agreed, or excuse me, the applicant has requested to remove this item from the agenda.
So we have a motion to remove that item from the agenda.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Now we need a motion to adopt the agenda as
So moved.
amended. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none. Motion approved. Item 2, approval of our items on the consent agenda. Need a motion for that.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. So that carries us right to our presentations, and we'll start first with Commissioner Bennett for the National Social Work Month.
Am I supposed to read it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You're changing up on me here. Huh? Okay. The State of North Carolina, County of Onslow Proclamation, National Social Work Month 2025. Whereas people have entered the social work profession for generations because they genuinely care about helping improvement and welfare of people, families, communities, and our nation. And whereas this year's Social Work Month theme, Social Work Compassion plus Action, embodies the fact that social workers go through years of education and training so they have the skills and expertise to transform their care for others into action that brings positive results. And whereas social workers have helped this nation live up to its values by successfully advocating for equal rights for all people, no matter their race, sexual identity, gender expression, culture, or religion. And whereas social workers follow a code of ethics which sets as the primary mission of the social work profession the enhancement of human well-being and meeting the basic human needs of all people, with particular attention to the needs and empowerment of those who are vulnerable, oppressed, and living in poverty. And whereas the social work profession is one of the fastest growing professions in the United States, with more than 800,000 people expected to be employed as social workers by 2033, and whereas social workers work in all parts of the society, including schools, social service agencies, veteran services, and government, helping people, family, and communities secure services and policies they need to thrive. And whereas social workers are at the forefront of pressing issues our nation is addressing, including increased needs for mental health care, especially for children and adolescents, and substance use disorder treatment, and increased economic and political division. And whereas social workers are one of the largest groups of mental health care providers in the United States and are pressing for a social work interstate licensing compact that will improve mental health care delivery in our nation, and whereas social workers help protect millions of children from abuse and neglect, provide services and support which help strengthen families that are under stress, and help create new families through adoption, and whereas research proves the presence of social workers in schools, hospitals, and assisted living facilities improve education and health outcomes and qualify for life for students, and quality of life for students, patients, and residents, and whereas social workers continue to stand ready to assist our nation in overcoming present and future challenges, improving health care and mental health care for all, now therefore be it proclaimed, the Onslow County Board of Commissioners acknowledges March 25th as National Social Work Month in Onslow County. All right. Congratulations. National Social Work Week, you guys have a tough job. I've worked with social workers before in my past history, and I appreciate what y'all do, and just thank you for all the work you do. Hope you just kind of stay motivated and don't let them get you down. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Want to say anything?
Thank you very much. I didn't realize we were quite this wonderful, but I did know that we have an amazing team over at Department of Social Services. Few of them are here with us tonight, but it's a pleasure to be working in Onslow County at the Department of Social Services, especially with the support of this board who has had our back and has supported us through the years. So I've been in social work for 32 years now, and it's hard to come across the board quite this supportive and quite this involved in the work we do day in and day out. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Shake your hands.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Bennett. We asked all in attendance, please set your cell phones to silent or vibrate mode. The board offers the public one opportunity to speak during the meeting. Comments should be limited to no more than 5 minutes and may be on any issue upon which the Board of Commissioners has control. In accordance with the board's adopted rules of procedure, commissioners shall reserve responses, if any, for the commissioner comment period on the agenda. Before we call up the first one, Mr. Smitherman, for those that have signed up for that rezoning that's been removed, if you are still here and do not wish to speak, just let Mr. Smitherman know that, and we'll continue down with our public comments at this time. Mr. Smitherman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our first speaker is Norman Early.
Thank you.
First off, happy St. Paddy's Day to every one of you. I'm Irish, so. I just moved here last June with my wife. I was previously stationed here many years ago. My wife's family has been here since 1977. We relocated this area after my wife retired in order to take care of her mother. So now we are a fixture in the community. I was here initially for the zoning thing, which is gone now, but I also wanted to talk about the road situation, which I was going to incorporate that as well. Coming from the Atlanta area, I know all too well how things blow up. Construction, businesses, everything coming into areas. But there's no forethought into the road structure before they start approving these things. As we already know on Gum Branch Road, that place is packed nonstop pretty much all the time. To get in and out of our subdivision on Rock Creek, is hazardous at best. With the now withdrawn thing that was coming, that makes it would have made it even harder. I have a suggestion for the commission and for the county that any construction that requests to be built, it doesn't matter whether it's residential or commercial, they should be required to make adjacent road improvements out of their pocket, not the county's, and they should provide the crew to do so out of their pocket, not the county's. And any work done should be done prior to any of the construction, so there is no road congestion. We have seen too many times that it's an afterthought, and everything grows and grows and grows, yet the roads remain the same. Maybe we can flip that and improve our roads before we grow, so then we're not playing catch up after the fact. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman, the next speaker is Chris and Kathy Marks.
Good evening, Commissioners, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chairman. We're going to be very brief. We're here actually to invite the Board of Commissioners and the public. Crime Stoppers of Jacksonville and Onslow County will be celebrating our 25th anniversary serving this area. And on April the 10th, there'll be a cake cutting ceremony at the Jacksonville Police Department at 11:30, and we'd like to invite each and every one of you to come and attend this big celebration, 25 years of doing good service to the citizens of Onslow County with the help of Onslow County, our fine law enforcement officials, including Sheriff Thomas, and our outgoing former Chief of Police, Mike Yanero, and he'll be there in attendance. We're also here to talk about something I talked about last year, and that's Wreaths Across America. Wreaths Across America has a very special event coming up, and it's coming up on March 26th. And we'd like to invite you and all the public to that. We're bringing in the National Wreaths Across America mobile educational exhibit. And I hope I missed one, Commissioner, I apologize. I will get you a copy of that. But this is a huge exhibit that comes to some areas that have military towns, and we were able to get it to come here to Jacksonville because of Camp Lejeune and the fact that we do have a veterans cemetery here, the Coastal Carolina State Veterans Cemetery. The exhibit will be at 1638 Western Boulevard, Missions Barbecue, for those that don't know the address, because I'm not sure that it's on their building. Wreaths Across America, its mission is to remember the fallen, and it's to honor those who served. And more importantly, if not last, is to teach this new generation about the value of freedom. This year, we're anticipating the need of 7,000 wreaths. Last year, we were 2,100 short, and we only needed 6,000. I cannot come before you right now because our group, which we head, Kathy and I, who is a disabled Marine veteran, we are not a nonprofit. We fall under Wreaths Across America National, so we could not come here and ask you for money. Next year, I hope to be a 501c for wreaths honoring our fallen veterans, which is who we represent and who we raise money for to buy the wreaths. I know last year, some of the commissioners were nice enough to donate some money, as did the public. We were able to, our group, in a month and a half, we raised close to 700 wreaths. This year, I've made it known that we will have 7,000 wreaths one way or the other. And sadly, our veterans are passing quickly. And I know some of you served, and I thank you for that. But we'd really like to see you at the exhibit, and we'd also like to invite the public to come by to the exhibit. It's a beautiful exhibit, lots of hands-on. We will be taking donations at the time, and if there's any veteran groups out there, we'd like to invite them to come out. They can set up and talk about their veteran groups. But it's all about veterans, and I saw earlier that we had another veteran in here. I know Robin is very close to the veterans, being one himself, as again, my wife Kathy was, and my dad, who voted for many of you through the years, has been laying in rest there now for 2 years. God rest his soul. It was sad to walk out last year and see 2,100 grave sites without wreaths. The wreaths are there at the holiday season, otherwise known as Christmas, and it's a way to honor them for what they did for our country and the many years that they served our country. I thank you for your time, and I wish you a very happy St. Patrick's Day. Thank you very much for your time.
We have no one else signed up this evening, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Bitterman. We'll move right into item 5, public hearings, and we'll start first with the tax exempt bonds, and we'll ask, I think it's Mr. Metcalf. Are you coming up? No,
I'll take this one.
Brett's doing this one.
Yes,
That's
sir.
right.
All right.
I got you. Keep you on your toes. It's good to have a good attorney.
Mr. Chairman, the Public Finance Authority, or PFA, has requested the assistance of Onslow County in providing host approval under Section 147F of the Internal Revenue Code in connection with the issuance of tax-exempt bonds on behalf of Lindenwood Education System, which is a Missouri nonprofit corporation. PFA expects to issue tax-exempt bonds in an amount not to exceed $175 million, and a portion of this amount will be used to finance costs of the acquisition of educational assets and associated operations from STVT-AAI Education, Inc. In the county, the assets to be acquired by the tax-exempt bonds relate to, benefit, or otherwise use in the integrated operation for educational services, including educational assets and associated operations for training and educational programs for Miller Mott College and other Ancora training facilities located at 105 New Frontier Way in Jacksonville. The amount of the assets located in Onslow County are expected, of that $175 million, are expected to be about $2.2 million. Debt issued by the entity under the auspices of PFA is not a debt of the county or PFA, but rather is payable solely from debt service payments received from the borrower. Over 100 projects in North Carolina have been financed by PFA. There is a public hearing requirement to this request. So really all we're doing today is we're acting as a host and really out of a courtesy to the applicant so that they can check the box and move forward with their financing. There's not going to be any debt or anything associated with the county. It's just making sure that the public can be heard on this, and if you approve it, then there's a resolution within your packet that we would ask that you consider signing and authorizing the chairman to sign. The first step would be, Mr. Chairman, do the public hearing, and afterwards, if the commissioners have any discussion, there is a representative for the borrower, Molly McCabe. She's with Parker Poe, which is a law firm here in North Carolina, that can explain in more details the finance part of this or kind of the procedural aspect of it if you have any questions. If not, then we can move forward with consideration of the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Selms. So we will open the public hearing at this time. Do we have anyone signed up, Mr. Smitherman?
No, sir, we do not.
We have anyone in the audience, a last call if they would like to speak? So we will close the public hearing and bring it to the commissioners at this time.
Motion to approve the resolution.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I would just say, just for clarity, that no county assets, no county funds are tied to this at all. This is, as Mr. Brett said, just we're facilitating.
All right.
So.
Yes, sir. Yep. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, hearing none, motion carries. So we'll move to the next rezoning, a public hearing on the Hall Point rezoning, and I believe this one will be Mr. Metcalf.
Thank you, Chairman, Vice Chairman, and our county commissioners. The item before you tonight is the Hall Point rezoning request of Peary Z 2024 number 30. The applicant is John L. Pierce and Associates, and the owner is Beaver Creek Investors. So we take a look at the request overview. It's from residential 8 manufactured or R-8M to residential 10 or R10. Tax map number is 777-26 and is located on Hall Point Road in the Stumptown Township. The rezoning area is 51.31 acres, and the existing use of the property is that it's vacant and forested. Now, as you take a look at the service overview, and this is important so the commissioners can ensure that any infrastructure plans for and accommodates any anticipated development. As we look at the water line, there's a 4-inch Onslow water main along Hall Point Road. The properties are nearby are served by individual septic systems, and the fire service is for Turkey Creek with an ISO rating of 4. We're not able to locate any traffic data, though, for Hall Point Road, so we went to an adjacent road with Fulcher's Landing Road. In 2023, had a trip count of 1,200. Staff estimates the capacity close to 10,000, so it'd be well under the estimated capacity. Schools serving the property would be Dixon Elementary, Dixon Middle School, and Dixon High School. According to the current estimates the staff have, with no additional capacity added to those schools, the elementary and high school would be over capacity, while the middle school would have some remaining capacity, again, according to our projections we received earlier this year. Here we can see the zoning designation with residential 8 manufactured. There is a little bit of community business, though, further along Hall Point Road, but most of this area has the same zoning. Take a look at that zoning district. Residential 8 manufactured's purpose is to accommodate moderate to high density single family and multifamily residential development, as well as a specific emphasis for allowing manufactured housing in our urbanizing areas of the county that have access to necessary utility and transportation infrastructure. Residential 8 manufactured has a minimum lot size of 8,000 square feet and allows up to 10 dwelling units per acre for multifamily. But this approval is by special use permit, and special use permits are heard by the Board of Adjustment, which is appointed by this board. Comparatively to residential 10, and its purpose is to accommodate moderate density single family and limited multifamily residential development in urbanizing areas of the county. Well, residential 10 does not allow manufactured homes, has a larger lot size of 10,000 square feet, and allows 10 dwelling units per acre for multifamily. So it's the same density as residential 8 manufactured, but the difference is residential 10 multifamilies by right. So it'd be an administrative approval with staff instead of a special use permit, which would require an additional board hearing. As we take a look at the comprehensive plan, or the county's CAMA plan, Horizon 2040, and this ensures that we are planning for future growth. And this category for this property is waterside community. Waterside communities to facilitate the continuation of traditional land use and development patterns in our communities that are along our water. When we look at that classification, it is at that intersection of both our traditional working waterfronts and our estuaries. We look at the land use and development summary. It is for primarily detached single-family residences and small multifamily structures on individual lots. But the goal is that it's consistent with historic waterside development trends. The goal is that we are putting in density that is in kind to what is already there. And again, this would be the category that we'd be considering because this is a residential rezoning. And as well, we took this category from the Sneads Ferry Community Plan, which was, we kind of adapted it into what Onslow County currently needs. Here you can see this entire peninsula is waterside community. So we look at the environmental conditions for the property. There are all of our regulated flood zones on this property. You have the teal, which is the VE. You have the striped, which is the coastal A. And then you have the blue, which is the AE flood zone. So any development in those areas would fall under our flood damage prevention ordinance, and all structures would be built in accordance with that code. And there are different codes depending on what color or what zone you're in. So this will be one that our staff will be, any development, they'll be thorough in the review process, as we always are. When we take a look at reasonableness in the public interest, supporting is our future land use map. Residential 10 can be viewed as an appropriate zoning district when we look at the residential for single-family component. When we look at the multifamily piece, it depends on your interpretation. If you think that the multifamily prescribed in R10 would correspond to the limited multifamily that's described in the intent statement of a waterside community. Objective 2.3 would support it because there's the opportunity to create interconnectivity between some of the different roads down there. As we discussed, both some of the easements off Hall Point and Lawndale. And so creating interconnectivity is a part of the comprehensive plan. Mitigating natural hazards and creating community resiliency. Having multiple ways to escape harm is creating community resiliency. And also with objective 6.1 would promote a broad range of housing. This objective is supporting and also non-supporting because it depends on what type of housing we're creating. With residential 10 would allow for more multifamily. But when we look at residential 8 manufactured, it specifically provides for manufactured housing. So that policy both supports and does not support. The future land use map is also while supporting and is also non-supporting. Residential 8 manufactured is already an appropriate zoning district. We look at objective 1.3, we're encouraged to preserve the rural landscape, both farmland and natural forested area. Objective 2.4, coordinate with Onslow County schools. Sometimes coordination involves rezoning requests, not just capital requests. And so here we do have two of the schools that are currently over capacity. Objective 4.2, as detailed with the environmental map, there are environmentally sensitive areas, both our floodplain and wetlands. And the applicant has submitted a wetland map to you. Staff does not certify those wetland levels, or those wetland lines. We would coordinate with the Army Corps of Engineers and the Division of Coastal Management to make sure that those wetland lines were confirmed by those state and federal agencies who are those who are regulating it. January 2nd, Onslow County Planning Board voted 4-1 to recommend denial of the request. The applicant was present for the meeting. 2 citizens spoke against the request, and 2 submitted comment. So in total, there were 4 citizens that are against the request. Their concerns were around stormwater potentially created with the site, flooding the adjacent Hall Point Road, schools being already over capacity, transportation infrastructure on Hall Point Road, and just in general, the Sneads Ferry area, and the Sneads Ferry Community Plan's consistency. It was discussed, though, at Planning Board that Horizon 2040, though, is the governing plan for the county. That is how we plan for growth. Sneads Ferry Community Plan's input was considered when we developed Horizon 2040, but that is our regulating CAMA land use plan is Horizon. Planning Board discussed the history of planning efforts. We discussed the Sneads Ferry Community Plan and how Horizon is now our new comprehensive plan. And also the history of zoning for the area. Residential 8M was how the property was designated at the beginning, and then has been as well for much of that area. No military impacts, though, were presented during the Planning Board meeting. Here you can see an overview of the site. You can see as it relates to Hall Point Road as it transitions to Riverside Drive. You can also see how the property is situated there among a variety of residential structures, both stick-built construction, manufactured homes, and modular homes. Here's a closer look, as you can see, with the property with areas, as it relates to nearby areas such as the water, and again, those other adjacent streets that citizens reference in their comments. You can see a required posting for tonight's meeting. It was long on Hall Point Road. And that is a picture a little bit further back so you can see the property. And this is the smaller section where it touches the Hall Point Road. And before I accidentally forgot this, Chairman of Planning Board's remarks. The owner wishes to rezone the parcel from R-8M to R10. Several citizens spoke against the rezoning, and we also received several written requests to deny the rezoning. The entire surrounding area is zoned R-8M, which has been in place since zoning was implemented. Objections included paving a currently dirt road to provide ingress-egress, does not meet the intent of the Sneads Ferry plan, even though this would be considered down zoning. Multifamily would be by right and not require a special use permit, would the current zoning. Current infrastructure is inadequate, and there's a concern about drainage. It was determined that the rezoning is inconsistent with the comprehensive plan and the future land use map. It is respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners consider the proposed zoning map amendment of PREZ 2024 number 30, also known as the Hall Point rezoning. Adopt a statement of consistency for the amendment and authorize the chairman to sign the necessary documents on behalf of the county. This concludes the staff presentation, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Metcalf. We will open the public hearing at this time. Mr. Smitherman, do we have anyone signed up to speak?
Yes, sir. Our first speaker is John Pierce.
Thank you. John Pierce, 405 Johnson Boulevard. On behalf of Beaver Creek investors, we own a 51.31 acre tract, which is approximately, is about 40% of it, or 35% of it, 40% of it developable, and the rest of it's in wetlands and in floodplains. And we plan on constructing this property with a DOT road connecting to P-Rear Road. We've got an existing right-of-way down Lawndale Drive, which is a right-of-way that we had done, subdivision we done several years ago, and proposing to put water service that would accommodate fire hydrants throughout as we put them in the existing subdivision. And we plan to build a road to DOT standards connecting to, we'll be connecting to Marsh Landing via Lawndale Lane. We also have had the wetlands delineated, and I've provided a wetlands map showing you what the wetlands were delineated by Haywood Pittman. And we plan on having a centralized collective sewer system put down. And we also, we're aware of the environmental sensitive areas, and we're going to be probably, in one area, over 1,000 feet from the water, in the other area, at least 500, 600 feet from any waterway, and we'll be providing storm water. And we realize this is an environmentally sensitive area, and believe me, we'll be under all the controls of the CAMA and the 404 and the, all the government agencies. And to be honest with you, you can figure all your math you want to, but R10 is less dense than R8 is. And like I say, we're going to build DOT roads. And as far as the points that Carter pointed out as the objections that are against it, there ain't a whole lot you can do about schools, because irregardless, if I develop it under RM8, I can make it more dense than I can R10. So it's going to be developed at some point in time. And the proposed use, we're well aware of the environmental sensitive area and farmland, but if you look around, farmland's getting gone in Onslow County. And woodlands, and there's more demand for housing, and there's going to be development, whether we like it or not. And like I say, I think I've covered most of the points of. We're going to access from Prairie Road, and it will give, and one other, along the existing, if I make sure I get the right road, it starts out at Hall Point Road, and if you pass the Riverview about less than a quarter of a mile, and our property above says that road was flooded during Florence, and I was told there's over 4 foot of water in there. And I think this would be a safety release route for those people. It ain't no matter if we're going to have another hurricane, it's just a matter of when. And I also think we can develop this property, and I think it would be the highest and best use for the property. And I'll be here to answer any questions that any of you folks might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pierce. Mr. Smitherman?
Yes, our next speaker is Don Dool.
Good evening, Chairman, Vice Chairman, and Commissioners. Nice job, Mr. Metcalf, on your brief. I just have a couple clarification comments, really. I wonder if I could have some detail on the waterside community on the Horizon 2040. Clarity on specifically the low density. What is that? What is the definition of low density? Since it's pretty much deemed that now from the 2040, and we really should be striving towards that vision, right?
We want to answer the low density. Now, we can bring Mr. Metcalf back up to answer that here, and we'll bring him up whenever you finish.
Okay. And then there was a comment made that, regardless of the development, the schools would be impacted anyways. But that's why we're here as a community, right? Is to mitigate some of those issues in the long run. We know schools and infrastructure are always an issue with development. If we can slow that progress down, why would we not do that instead of burdening the children and the kids, which reduces their commitment? I think the gentleman earlier indicated infrastructure, roads were always an issue, and this is one of those issues that's going to be. And I think Mr. Pierce indicated 40% of the property was developable. That's roughly just some straight math, 10 units, that's 200 residents. And what do they average? About 2.5 per residence? That's over 500 people living in that area. Could be. I'm not saying it's going to be, but it could be. And then there's already on the 2040 horizon, there's already areas in Sneads Ferry that suburban growth could be. This is already granted as waterfront community. Not sure why we want to impede that. Even if it's at R8M, it still would be considered waterfront community, and I would think you would have to build to that standard. Even though it's R8M, and you might be able to build medium to low density, but you would think that since it's already been voted and approved by the state, we would have to comply with that waterfront community insight. And then I'm a little confused on the R8M and the R10. It's indicated that R10 is less dense, but really they're both categorized as medium, from my understanding. And it seems like the R10 is just a sidestep to not be able to have to go through the special use permit process to be able to do multifamily if that's the intent of the contractor. Because it seems like if you do R10 and you guys approve that tonight, he can just jump right into building multifamily houses. I'm not sure of the process there, but that special use permit is not applicable on the R10. So leaving it as R8M seems like that would be best for the waterfront community in Sneads Ferry. So those are the clarifications I had on the R810, R8M and R10, and then the waterside community, low density.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Smithman?
Yes, sir. Our next speaker is Sam Mees.
That would be Moss. That's a Moss.
Mr. Chairman is Sam Moss.
Good evening. I agree with what was just presented, but also I have a point of clarity I would like to know here, and that is as far as a special use permit, is a special use permit, can it be used in the R10? Or did I hear that it is not applicable? Can anybody answer that?
We'll call Mr. Metcalf up here in just whenever you finish.
Okay, but if it is, and if it can be used, is there any way that a special use permit could be given to this group in order to actually increase the density if they so desired, if they got the special use permit?
Thank you, sir. Mr. Smithman, any other speakers signed up?
No, sir, we have no one else signed up for this public hearing.
Okay, before we close it, is it appropriate now to let Mr. Metcalf answer those questions? So, Mr. Metcalf, if you'll come up and answer those questions that the gentleman had? I'm hoping that you wrote them down.
I did. If we wouldn't mind, if I could get the PowerPoint back up, that'd be very helpful. So as we start to look at some of the different questions with Horizon specifically, we'll start there. So the description for Horizon is primarily detached single-family residences with small multifamily structures on individual lots. And then as we take a look, it's promoting, again, that in-kind density. So it's not specific to low density. It's not specific to high density. The whole point is it's in-kind to the type of density that is already there. We want to, as the summary states, historic waterside development trends. We want to be consistent with the area. As compared to R8M and R10's density and their difference, they have the same multifamily density. They both have 10 dwelling units per acre. The difference, as we talk to a downzoning, would be that residential 8 manufactured has an 8,000 square foot for a single family home lot. So assuming 1 acre is 43,560. Okay, so for R-8M, assuming there was no roads, nothing else, and you were just cutting up the land, you get about 5.5 lots, so 5.5. R10, a density with 10,000 square foot, you would have 4.4. Again, assuming there's always roads involved, there's always space for stormwater ponds, open space, there's a lot of other things that take up land in development. But so that's why it's described as a downzoning, because R-8M, you're looking at about 5 units or 5 lots an acre. Well, in R10, it would be 4, assuming it's single family. But multifamily is the same. There was also questions about, can a special use permit be given in R10? Not for the residential uses I think we're discussing for the context of tonight. So for a multifamily in R-8M, it's a special use permit. The applicant would submit that site plan to our office, would go through the technical review committee. Once that plan meets all of Onslow County standards, then it would go before the Board of Adjustment and go through that hearing process. And everyone who got notified for tonight would get notified of that hearing. With R10, though, it is by right. So he would submit the plan to our office, would be reviewed by the technical review committee, and at the point where it meets all the standards, staff would issue an approval letter. That's it. There's no public hearing. There's no notification process. He's simply approved because he has the by right ability to do that. Can a special use permit, though, increase density? No, it cannot. So we would hold him, if it was multifamily, to 10 dwelling units per acre. That would have to be shown. We actually make them put a density calculation on that site plan, and we would hold them to that. Now, that's also true in a special use permit and administratively. We do that either way because we want to make sure that they are not exceeding that standard. As well, also with multifamily, just for the board's information, there is a requirement of open space that is required for a multifamily, but there is not that requirement for single family. I believe I've answered all the questions unless the board has some for me while I'm up here.
All right, thank you, Mr. Metcalf.
Thank you.
Yep, so at this point, we will close the public hearing and look and bring this back to the commissioners.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Any discussion?
I just want to say one thing that is weighing on my heart. I really, since we had Horizon 2040, I've always felt like that is something that has to be a guiding light for us, and we've agreed on that with the planning board as well. However, based on conversation with some of the commissioners here, the one thing that stands out to me the most is the, I want to say, I guess, future safety of the people in that area. There's been a problem getting in and out, I think. It's limited by, like during hurricanes and other such events, by the one road in and out that they have, and this would really allow them to have another way if there was a disaster. So I'm thankful for that.
Any other discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like people to understand that we work consistently with the Board of Education to provide the schools, and we plan for additions to our schools. We were just talking about that in our workshop a few minutes ago. Commissioner Buchanan and I are on the Transportation Committee, and we're constantly working to get our roads upgraded. What most people don't understand here is that we have absolutely no control over our roads. Those are state roads. And yeah, unfortunately, we can't really be proactive because the state's not going to improve our roads until we have traffic on them. They won't build roads where there's no traffic. So that's an unfortunate situation. And they could theoretically put 5 mobile homes per acre on that property as it is now. And I think that would be infinitely worse than some nice houses.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. Any other discussion, comments?
I have just one thing. One of the things that we've talked about with the Board of Education here about, a month ago, I believe it was, we met with them. There's a new elementary school going to Dixon. That's the first one that we're going to build here shortly. That's going to Dixon. We have to have one down in the Dixon area. And the other two are supposed to go toward the southwest, or I shouldn't say that, toward Swansboro area. The Hubert area is where I think those two are going, a middle school and another elementary, but that's down the road. But right now we need to build an elementary school in Dixon to help you out there that we are building more schools.
Anyone else? All right, hearing none, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. So that brings us to the end of the regular agenda, other than moving to item number 7 with our manager's comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to the Board of Commissioners for a good workshop today. We covered a lot of ground in a short amount of time. This evening, I'm going to limit my comments to respond to several things that are going on and my exposure to our Parks and Rec Department over the past few weeks. And it started with a tour with Doug Jones of all of our park facilities. One of this board's priorities is a comprehensive upgrade of all our parks, and I can report to you that they are, while they're safe and they are well used and they are in good repair, they are very tired and are in need of a lot of investment. But I really enjoyed being in the company of our parks maintenance supervisor and seeing these needs firsthand. Also had the pleasure of meeting with the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee last week, of which they attended. They also attended our meeting this afternoon, where we received their input on the future of Hines Farm Park and Onslow Pines Park, and the board has given us direction on how to proceed with conceptualizing those new amenities at these two parks going forward, as well as an indoor recreation facility. So our next step is to be very planful of how we go about the next 5 years to ensure that we are making these decisions in concert with all of the amenities across our parks and recreation system and not isolating our decision-making in just Hines Farm, just Onslow Pines, but we look at our comprehensive offerings in our parks and recreation department. So we will be over the next few months seeking a consultant to help us, like I said, be planful of how we implement all these initiatives that the board is anxious for us to do as we plan for becoming the community of choice in coastal North Carolina with the youngest population in all the state. And we know that we're behind the curve with Parks and Recreation, and I appreciate this board's vision in putting us on a path to realizing these improvements. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bitherman. Commissioner Buchanan, do you want to start us off tonight?
I guess I can. I'll piggyback off what David said. I was really pleased today with the Parks and Recs. Dealing with all that is so important to me because of an individual that's been here for so many years. I won't even tell you how many. But the thing about it is our youth means a lot to me. It means a lot to this Board of Commissioners. But the key thing here is that the public, we got a lot of public that give us the information for these facilities, for Hines Farm and for the other facility that we have, both facilities being so important to all of us. Parks and Recreation means a lot. I can just tell you that. But the workshop we had today was just amazing. A little bit long, but amazing. We've been here since 3 o'clock this afternoon. And just thank you and kudos to all of the staff that worked hard on this. I mean, it's amazing what you've done. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Buchanan. Commissioner Bennett?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a lot going on in Onslow County, and we're trying to stay ahead of everything. We appreciate y'all being here and hope you have a good night.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Carpenter?
Not to go too much into what Commissioner Buchanan was saying, but I am very excited that we are, as a team, as a group here with the aid of our team, addressing the growth that we're experiencing here in Onslow County and really answering, I feel like, the needs and expressed needs of the younger population that we have in the work that we're doing with Parks and Recs in particular. I want to say a special thank you to Kevin Patterson, our finance director, for giving us a 30 million mile view down on our finances, which still he made digestible, and actually also for meeting with me last week about some questions I had. I serve on the NCACC's Tax and Finance Committee, and we had some interesting conversations on some different legislation that's looking at being changed. So I appreciate that. Also want to say a thank you to Veronica Ortiz and our Carrie Sanders for the overview of the opioid fund allocations that you're working on right now. I think that is just amazing that you are working so diligently to address the problem that we have here in a very thoughtful manner. And we appreciate that, and the hard work's showing up. It's definitely proving to be successful. So other than that, have a great week.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Carpenter. Commissioner Davis?
Yeah, just thank you to our solid waste team, our landfill team. I had a good discussion with them, and just their professionalism and the processes and systems. I did an aerial view of a large part of Onslow County, and when you fly over that landfill, if you didn't know it was a landfill, they just do such a great job of making it neat and clean, and it's just very professionally done. I also want to thank Kevin out of the tax office for spending some time with me today. You know, I still think about Snuffy Smith when I see you, you know, the revenuer, but I know you guys have a hard job, but appreciate what you guys are doing and keeping us going, so thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Padgett?
Well, I'll be real short because I could reiterate what everybody said, and I won't waste your time with that. But I do thank you for participating in your county government, and it is your government. So we try our best to make the right decisions. It don't seem that way, but we got a long-term vision, and we hope it will end up the way we're looking at it, and things will be better for every citizen in Onslow County. And thank you, and I hope y'all have a good night.
Thank you, Commissioner Padgett. Vice Chairman Knapp?
Is it Mr. Early? Is that your name? I was listening to your comments. Just suffice it to say, we are concerned, a lot of us, excuse me, on the board about construction in that particular area. But the road situation is a little bit different because a lot of it's handled by Department of Transportation.
I understand that.
Yeah, okay. So we have to go on their time schedule, and it's frustrating for us as we sit here. And you make some valid points, and I just wanted to clarify that with you, that I hear you. And speaking of which, onto your point, you know, we had a public hearing tonight for Faith and Vision. The applicant withdrew it, and the reason why he withdrew it because he probably found out majority of the commissioners were going to disapprove it. Because I'm really big on that. That's one of my things. You know, I had a particular individual try to put a 30,000 square foot or 40,000 square foot warehouse next to Rock Creek, and my question was, we're building a 40,000 square foot structure. That seems like transportation, trucks coming in and out of there. So I'm with you on that. I just want you to know I heard you, I listened to you, and I appreciate you coming up and voicing your concerns. And welcome to North Carolina, by the way.
Could I ask you one question?
No, sir, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
You can ask me afterwards.
Yeah, I was going to say, speak to him afterwards.
But nice try, though. Now, real quick, Rich Gabbert, I got the message today from Jesse. I'll be in touch with you, and I'll talk to you about that separately. One of the things I want to talk about real quick, two things. First, Chris and Stephanie Marks were up here. You saw them about Wreaths Across America and Crime Stoppers. They have really busted their rear end for this project, especially Wreaths Across America. We had a disaster with Wreaths Across America about 2 years ago. It was poorly planned. And he makes a very good point about putting wreaths on every veteran that is buried in our cemetery here. My father and mother are both buried in that cemetery, and it means a lot to me. And my wife makes sure that she buys wreaths and some extra wreaths to put down on my father and mother's grave, and I think it's a real honor when you do that. And, you know, we're a military community. I'm a veteran. Mr. Buchanan here is a Vietnam War veteran. You know, we served, and we understand that. And a lot of people up here are associated with the military, and they totally understand that, and they support this community. And we as citizens should support the wreaths across America to make sure that every veteran, every tombstone that's in that cemetery gets a wreath, plain and simple, because that's an honor that we owe them because they died for us. And I feel really strongly about that. Speaking of which, I just wanted to the chairman and myself had a meeting with Brigadier General Rizzo from Camp Lejeune. He's the commanding general MCI East. Let me tell you a couple things about him. He's a very intelligent young man, very capable individual. I could see why he was appointed or selected to be the CG. Working with NCIS on that base for over 22 plus years. I've met many of the CGs before, but he was impressive. He was different. He's got a real compassion and passion for interlocal interaction with the community and the base, which I thought was remarkable. He understands it. He gets it. Although he's a military general, his staff is great. Mike Scalise and Joe Ramirez, who former Marines, retired Marines who work with him. Joe Ramirez is a very good friend of mine, known him for 30 plus years. So it was really neat to talk to him and to see how much he understands about the community and how his base and what he does impacts the community and how they can interact. And it's rare to have somebody that thinks that. Most Marines are warfighters. All they think about is, you know, their capability and how to project their force or whatever. But he does it in such a way that he understands the community impact and how important it is for the base to be working hand in hand, so to speak, with local officials and county officials. So that was a real good meeting. I appreciate David for setting that up, for leading the charge on that. It was a really eye-opening meeting. And I will tell you this about General Rizzo. Not only is he very intelligent, he's very centered on protocol. And he respects the Marine Corps protocol, which I respect tremendously. And I just wanted to thank him and his staff for doing what they did. So my hat's off to it, a great meeting, and like I said, I really appreciate it, David. We had a workshop today. It was very good, very informative, very long, but and I'll echo what Commissioner Buchanan said. You know, when you get commissioners in there for a meeting past 2 hours, you kind of lose us. But we hung on there and we paid attention. In fact, I got more stuff up here that Kevin, that you gave me, said I'll be looking at. But I appreciate the effort. I appreciate the details of the briefings, the details of the workshop, because you go over things line by line, and I really appreciate your effort for what you do. And so my hat's off to you guys. Other than that, thank you folks for coming, and we'll see you at the next meeting.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. Spoke a lot about Parks and Rec. If you haven't had a chance and you're old enough, sign up for the senior games. Everyone up here is eligible.
Not me.
So I just thought I'd let that.
He's done that because he's the only one that goes out there and plays.
He's the baby.
So we're all eligible. Go join the senior games. It's a lot of fun. The other one I met last week with Mayor Parian from Holly Ridge. We took a trip around Holly Ridge and looked at what was going on down there and some opportunities that we can help Holly Ridge in some areas that we'll be discussing in the future. But I appreciate him reaching out and wanting to do that. Great stuff going on down in that area, Camp Davis Industrial Park, the work that they are doing. So it's fantastic, and we always see the mayor, and I think Mr. Zabicki is the assigned councilman from Holly Ridge to the Board of Commissioners, I think. So that's something that the mayor has done, and everyone's got a piece that they do, and we appreciate you both being here tonight and working with Holly Ridge and the county. And we always say if it's good for the municipalities, it's good for the county. If it's good for the county, it's good for the municipality. So when we work together, a lot of great things happen for all the citizens in Onslow County. The last thing is I think we've all received phone calls and emails concerning the debris that is burning down near Dixon Middle School in that area. We've had lots of calls on that. We did do some research and found out that permitting is through the state. that the state grants those permits. There's nothing that the Forestry Service can do about it. And as much as we would like there's something that we could do about it, we can't do anything about it because at the end of the day, and Mr. DeSelms, you can correct me if I'm wrong, we're an extension of state government. We cannot regulate their regulations and we cannot go in and create more strict rules on top of what they're already doing. They won't allow that to happen. As bad as that smoke is hopefully it'll clear out and become better. But the people down at Dixon Middle School, their leadership are taking some steps to move their outdoor athletics to another venue to keep them from having to deal with that smoke. So as much as we would like to help you in that situation, even our hands are tied in that with it being regulated by the state. Other than that, it was a great day to be working for Onslow County and working for you, and I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.